Welcome back. Here is another Discord bot tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to attempt to retrieve a GIF from Tenor.com and post that GIF to Discord itself. So I'll use a command like !GIF, a search term, and then I'll get a GIF back from Tenor.com. So there's lots of different GIF APIs. You could have your own library of GIFs. I'm actually using Tenor because there happens to be an official Coding Train GIF page. I don't know why this exists or how this exists, but it exists. So if you like the GIFs on the Coding Train, you can make use of those. Enjoy. Now there is a Tenor API. So you will need to get your own API key, log in, create an application, and it's a pretty easy process. I'll put links to it in the video's description. And once you've gone through that process, you will have an API key like this, which I will now delete or regenerate as soon as I finish recording this video. So I've made two example and test application. Let's grab this one, Coding Train example. This is a perfect reason to use my .env file yet again. So going back to the code, I'm going to go to .env. I'm going to put tenor key equals. So now I have my tenor key saved in a .env file. In bot.js, again, I have my bot restricted to one channel, which is sort of an artificial restriction right now, just for testing purposes. It's hard-coded in there. And then I want to do kind of an awful thing, which is I want to say if the message content is choo-choo, reply this way. Otherwise, if the message content equals !GIF, reply somehow with a GIF. Now, how am I going to do this? First of all, this is terrible. Ultimately, you might make a bot that has hundreds, literally hundreds of commands. A giant if statement, a switch statement's not going to do you any better. So that's going to be the topic for the follow-up video, to look at how we can break out these commands into separate JavaScript files and handle them in a more elegant way. But right now, let's just get this second command going. And I am just going to make sure that it works to have two commands. So let's just send back the words GIF, and if you like, I can make a whole separate recording of this video with me saying GIF, so you could decide which one you want to watch, but I can't bring myself to do it. I'm sorry. Let's run this bot. Let's go to Discord. I'll say choo-choo. Never forget the dis dot. I will say GIF, and I get the response back GIF. So we can see it's handling multiple commands. Now I want to get an actual GIF. So back to the Tenor API. There's lots of documentation here, things I'm sure we could try. I'm just going to do something quite simple with implementing a search. And you can see here, it's giving me, I can actually look at the JavaScript code. First of all, Tenor. It's capital S. It's capital S in the JavaScript. Oh, it makes me crazy. Ah! Second, I could click over on JavaScript, but it's the example code is showing it with XML HTTP request, which is kind of an ancient way of requesting data from an API. I have been using the fetch function. I have a whole video tutorial series about the fetch function, about async and await. So I'm going to use a more sort of modern technique. So I'm just going to refer to this sort of curl, which is a command line tool for getting data from the API. And what I want is this URL. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to bring it into my code. So I'm going to say let URL equal this string. And then I'm going to use the backticks to make it a template literal. And then I can do things like, where the key is supposed to go, I can say, guess what? Process.env.tenor key. So you can see here now I have replaced in the URL the place where the key would normally be hard-coded with the environment variable, tenor key. And then the search term here is just excited. So I'm just going to hard code and replace the words Coding Train in here and see how that goes. And then I'm going to call fetch to get the data from that URL. Response equals await. I need to use the await keyword if I want to have asynchronous code running with this particular methodology. Fetch the URL. Then I want to get the data in JSON format. So I say await response.json. Now, this is not, let's just run console.log JSON. So this actually isn't going to work because two things. One is if I have asynchronous JavaScript with the await keyword, I need to indicate that with modifying the function as an async function. And again, I'll refer you to my other tutorials about this, but there we go, modify as an async function. Now, also, Node doesn't know about fetch natively. Fetch is part of the JavaScript API in the browser, but it's very easy for me to add fetch to a Node application. And by the way, you could also use Axios, which is kind of like what people are using these days. But I'm a little bit behind, I'm going to use fetch. I'm going to go back to my console, and I'm going to say npm install node fetch. There we go. And then I can, in here, I can say constant fetch equals require node fetch. So now the fetch function is imported from the node fetch module. By the way, this require stuff, I'm going to make use of that in an interesting way in the next video when I show you how to do a command handler. It's very exciting. OK, require node fetch. Now I believe I should be able to run this. Run the bot. Go back to Discord. I'm going to say exclamation point GIF. I won't get a GIF back yet, but I should see a console log of the data from Tenor. There we go. Look at this. So I now have, what do I have? I have an array, a JavaScript object with a results array, and every element of that array is an object with a URL, which is that particular GIF. So, and the URL for it. So if I go to this page here and take a look at it, this is a Coding Train GIF that somebody, Bunny Gamers, I guess, made, which is like this dot with the fire coding challenge. That is awesome. I love seeing that. Thank you for sharing that. So I think what happens if I just say message.channel send, where was it? JSON.results index0.url. JSON.results index0.url. That's what I am looking at right there. JSON is the object, .results is the array, index 0 is this one, URL. I probably want to pick a random one. That would be a nice thing to do. But let's just see if this works. Like if I just send the URL back to Discord, is it going to post the GIF? I think it might. Obviously, I might, in other contexts, I might need to actually download the file, use this binary data. But I think actually giving it the URL might be enough in this case. So let's restart the server. Go back to Discord. GIF. There we go, we've got it. Oh, that is wonderful. Mwah! OK, next up, two things. Let's pick a random one. So let our index equal math.random times the length of the array. And then it's actually exactly what I'm doing here. I should probably put this into a function, but I'm doing exactly this. I could actually just take this. Let's just take this right here. Right? I want to, but instead I want to look at the array of GIF results and then send that particular one. Restart the server. Go back here. GIF. Oh, sad. What happened? I got an error. Unhandled results is not defined. Sorry, JSON.results. JSON.results. I probably should put that variable into that array into a separate variable, but good enough. No? Cannot read property URL of undefined? I guess I have to debug this a little better. What did I mess? Oh, results index 0. The array is results. Right? I want the length of the array, not index 0. Then get the index and look in the array. Sorry, all these mistakes. So many mistakes. Hopefully seeing these mistakes helps you. Here we go. We've got a GIF. There's one. Let's get another one. OK, we're getting fun Coding Train GIFs. Amazing. OK, one more thing. Let's modify this so I can say GIF, and then I can have a search term after it. So if I were to say GIF Coding Train, then I would get a Coding Train GIF back. Right now I'm not going to get anything because the way that I have written this is that I have to have the full content exactly exclamation point GIF. So the first thing I want to do, and this is leading the way to the command handler, is let's make a variable called tokens, and I am going to say message.content.split, and I'm just going to split it up by spaces. And again, I could have a more sophisticated way of splitting it, but this is a way of taking a string and splitting it into an array where every element of the array is separated by a space. Then what I'm really looking at is if tokens 0 is choo choo, then do this. And then if tokens 0 is exclamation point GIF, do this. But I want to look for a search term. So let me change this to, I'm going to say keywords, right? This, now I'm going to add a variable called keywords into the Tenor API search. And I'm going to say if tokens.length is greater than 1. So let's say keywords is just by default coding train, right? So if you don't specifically offer a search term, you just get a coding train GIF. But if you have more tokens than just exclamation point GIF, then keywords equals, I think I can use slice. Tokens, I think slice is a function that takes a slice out of an array. So I don't want index 0, I don't want the command. I just want from 1 until the end of it. And then I want to join it back by spaces. So I did that kind of quickly. I don't usually in my tutorials kind of just plop code out like this. But let's think about this in multiple steps. If I have exclamation point GIF kitty cat, I then have an array with 3 things in it. Slice from 1 to the end of that array, and I don't know why I put cat with a K there, kitty cat will give me a smaller array that looks like this. I guess I could have just spliced out the first element, and then join will put it back into a string with spaces in between. So now that should give me keywords, and I think, let's see what happens. I can search for a given GIF. Before I do that, before I just unleash the world of GIFs onto this Discord server, let me look for one more thing in the documentation, which is content filtering. So I'm going to use a G-rated just to filter everything out, make sure it's sort of family-friendly content that I'm getting right now. So I think I just write another argument here. Oh, and I'm limiting it to 8, which I don't need to do. So let's add content filter equals G. I think that adding that argument should filter the GIFs. So I double checked and I found in the documentation that actually I don't put equals G, I put equals high. I want the high safety filter. So let me go back to the code and put in content filter equals high. And I'm pretty sure I've done it right. There is an issue, by the way, that in a URL you can't have a space. So normally those get encoded as %20 as a sequence of characters that indicate space. I'm hoping it's going to work anyway. I think the fetch function might take care of encoding the URL for me. We'll find out. Let's run this. Back to Discord. Let's first just say exclamation point GIF. I've got a coding train GIF. Now let's say GIF kitten. And I've got a kitten GIF. Now let's try 2 words. Cute kitten. I think it's good. I think we're good. Oh, this is fun. So now the coding train bot will always get a GIF from Tenor. Now I don't know if and one thing I should probably check, and I will add it to this after, if I should include some extra information, for example, I should include alt text for the GIF. Maybe I want to include a URL to credit the GIF of where I got it from. But so I should be able to, without too much trouble, at a minimum add some additional text. And maybe I could just send it right now as a second message. GIF from Tenor and plus the keywords. So I'm just going to send it as 2 messages right now, or I could have made it 1, but just as a quick update. So we get the GIF, and it says GIF from Tenor coding train. Let's get a puffy, GIF from Tenor puppy. Okay, so we now have a bot that can handle more than one command. It can even handle arguments to a command, right? The command can be the first token with arguments after it. But if I want to expand this, if I want to build this up further, a really long if statement isn't going to be such a great way to do it. So that's what will come eventually in the next video, how to modify this to use a command handler to be able to break out different commands into separate JavaScript files and build a much larger bot. And then more things will come too. We'll see what I get to. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in future Discord bot coding train videos. Yikes.